Hey guys, listen up. I have a super important story that I want to share with you today, and it's about a conversation that I had with a friend of mine the other day. He's an older gentleman. He's starting to look forward to, retiring within the next few years. And so by nature, we started talking about finances and what that's going to look like moving forward. They didn't, make the necessary investments and things like that earlier on, when they were younger. And so, what I was basically told is that he's going to have to live off of his Social Security check, which was somewhere in the area of about $1,900, which is actually the national average. What we're finding, that's about what it is. And that's what this person is going to get. But he still has other expenses. He still has, a mortgage. And, obviously knowing how expensive society is nowadays, how expensive, food is, gas, travel, everything is so expensive. And so that's not going to cover a lot of things. And, unfortunately, this is a sad story to me as far as, what his turnout is going to be and what his retirement is going to look like. Ultimately, I want better for him. I want better for you. And that's why this is literally the reason that I entered this industry to begin with, is I want to see people win with money. Me and my business partner, literally looked at the statistics of this the other day, people who have financial advisors versus people who don't. And what we found was that 77% of millionaires, those with a net worth of over $1 million, have a financial advisor. But on the opposite side, only 23% of those who don't have a net worth of $1 million have a financial advisor. And so I can't help to think that there's a little bit of a correlation here. I heard a quote from Dave Ramsey where he said, if you're the CEO of You Incorporated, if you handled money for You Incorporated the way you handle money for you now, would you fire you? And I think that's a very interesting thing to think about. It's something so important as your personal finances. Again, you're trying to get from point A, where you're currently at right now, to point B, whether it's saving for a house, saving for a kid's college fund, saving for retirement. You want to be able to travel and go do things. You want to be able to buy nice cars. You have goals and ambitions and things that you want to be able to achieve. And you don't have a plan, a GPS for how you're going to get from point A to point B, and we're all just kind of going with the flow and then wondering why we're not getting to where we want to get to. Ultimately for me, this business is a ministry. I truly, genuinely want to help people. I want to, help you sit down and be like, how can we get you from point A to point B? Ultimately, relationships are always going to trump business. I want to build relationships with people. I want to connect with people and, help them achieve their goals and dreams and aspirations. Again, I want you to win with money. I don't want to just willy-nilly, I don't want anyone living, paycheck to paycheck. I don't want to see people, struggling, with their marriages and with their finances and just not being able to, again, get to where they want to get to because it's, we don't have the money, we don't have the resources, we don't have the knowledge and expertise. Again, with the business that we've set up, we always lead with education. I don't want anyone to sit there and wonder, okay, what's going to happen if my husband passes away? How are we going to be able to pay the bills? How are we going to be able to, afford, our lifestyle? Are we going to be able to keep this house, or, are we going to lose the cars? What's happening? Ultimately, I want people to feel safe and have a positive outlook on where they're going with their money, and they have a, strategic, written down plan, and they know exactly what's going on, and we all work together. Ultimately, I just think the world would be a better place if we handled money better. There'd be, less people in debt, equals, more financial freedom, a lot less stress. We'd have less marriage issues and, fights about money, which statistically shows is still in the top 3, when it comes to leading causes of divorce, here in this country. I want to see less people taking advantage of each other for money because we're just in this fight or flight mode all the time, just trying to gather as much as we can, because we feel safe, we feel secure, so we're able to bless more people with what we have. I want people to have the greater ability to be giving and to be charitable and to support and take care of each other. So ultimately, it's time that we make investments into our emotional, physical, and financial health, and we have to do that now. We can't sit here and wait for, life to happen to us. We can't sit here and just again, hope that, we're going to have money in the future. It's the same thing, with your physical health. If you're not going to the gym, if you're not eating healthy and stuff right now, it catches up to you later on. If you're not making the sacrifices that you need to make right now in the financial realm, again, that's going to catch up with you later on down the road as well. We need to take the proper steps right now to help us secure a better financial future for ourselves and our families. So last thing, I want you to comment below and tell me that if you had the financial capability to bless other people with money and make a positive impact on the world and on society, click below and comment and say, tell me, what would you do if you had the financial capability to do so? What would you invest in and how would you help other people? I appreciate you guys staying tuned. Sorry I made a video like this in a long time, but we'll keep at the grind and we'll keep working. Appreciate y'all.